Studio Classroom is here for you. It helps you in all you do. It helps you know you do. So tune in and now enjoy the fun. Join us now, enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, my name is Garrett, and today is a great day to learn something new.
It certainly is, so let's do that together. My name is Anne-Marie.
And this is Studio Classroom. Friends, we're getting into a new lesson today, and let's start it off with a question. Today's question is, if you could repair your own broken device, would you repair it or just buy a new device? And why? Anne-Marie, what do you think?
This is a great question. Now, I'm thinking about this question as it relates to my cell phone. I'm the kind of person that likes to keep my cell phone for a long time, 3, 4, or 5 years, just to save money. So for me, if I could just fix the cell phone I already have, I would like to do that.
That's a great idea. I had a friend in college who was really into fixing Apple products like iPhones. It's really hard to find the right tools and parts for that though. He was able to do it, but for most people, it's probably more practical to just buy a new device.
I think that has a lot to do with our topic today. We are going to be talking all about planned obsolescence. What is this? Let's get to our first reading and find out.
Planned obsolescence. This business practice benefits big companies and frustrates consumers. Imagine this. You bought a shiny new smartphone just a year ago, and while it worked perfectly at the time, now it's giving you all kinds of trouble. The battery drains too fast, the screen keeps freezing up, and your apps take forever to load. What's going on?
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们先来看 obsolescence 这个名词，它的意思呢是废弃或是淘汰。我们来看例句。Planned obsolescence is responsible for filling our globe with unnecessary garbage. 计划性报废让我们的地球充满了不必要的垃圾。它的形容词是 obsolescent， 则是指逐渐过时的或即将淘汰的。譬如 CDs are becoming obsolescent now that everyone streams their music. 现在大家都在使用串流音乐 ，CD 已经逐渐过时。另一个形容词是 obsolete， 则是指过时的或废弃的。譬如 It's frustrating that by the time I learn how to use new technology, it is already obsolete. 令人沮丧的是，当我学会使用新技术时，它已经过时了。
Planned what? Planned obsolescence. A big word that we're here to teach today.
That's right. We start our article by reading, "This business practice benefits big companies and frustrates consumers." Now, friends, when we're talking about a business practice, we're talking about the culture of a company or the way that that company does its work.
Yeah, a company that has good business practices is more likely to make customers happy.
But this business practice is not making customers happy. We see that it benefits big companies, but it frustrates consumers, those people buying the products.
Exactly. Imagine this. You bought a shiny new smartphone just a year ago. And while it worked perfectly at the time, now it's giving you all kinds of trouble.
Has this ever happened to you, friends, or to you, Garrett?
I don't think within 1 year, but maybe within 2 or 3 years.
The same has happened to me. I didn't do anything to make the phone not work. I haven't dropped it or treated it badly, but all of a sudden it starts freezing up. That's what we see here in this next sentence. the battery drains too fast, the screen keeps freezing up. Let's talk about what this means.
Well, to freeze up means a device, or sometimes even a person, stops working suddenly. It's like it's put on pause.
Exactly. For example, your computer might freeze up when you open too many tabs. And as Garrett said, this can be said about people as well. Maybe if you have stage fright, when you get up to give your speech, you suddenly freeze up.
So the screen can keep freezing up, and your apps might take forever to load. Let's talk about that word load. It means to put something into a system or device, or to bring it up, to start it.
Yes, this is what happens when you click on an app on your smartphone. The amount of time it takes that app to open and start working is the amount of time it takes the app to load. Websites are another thing that need time to load when you're out opening a tab on your computer.
Right, or when you turn your computer on, we can also say it is loading or loading up. Well, these are all the problems that can happen as you've had your phone for a little bit and it starts to slow down.
And of course, some of these things might happen because your phone is older or you've used it so much that it starts to break down. But that's not what we're talking about today, friends. Let's continue reading to find out what we mean.
Planned obsolescence. The answer might be planned obsolescence, a shady business strategy in which products are designed to break, fail, or become obsolete earlier than necessary. On the one hand, this strategy can boost sales by encouraging consumers to buy replacements. But on the other hand, it often leaves customers feeling cheated and results in waste when old products are thrown away.
"接下来看 boost 这个字，它可以当动词或是名词。当动词的意思是提高或是增强，譬如 The parents boosted the tired children's spirits by promising to buy them ice cream. 家长们答应给疲惫的孩子们买冰淇淋来提振他们的精神。Boost 当名词的时候，意思也是相同的。譬如 Sebastian relies on coffee for the boost he needs to get his day started. Sebastian 依赖咖啡来得到开始一天所需的能量。如果在 boost 的字尾加上 er，booster 就是指增强剂，譬如 The new vaccine booster increases protection against new variants of the virus. 新疫苗增强剂提高了对病毒新变种的保护。
Doing a bad job on purpose? You probably don't do that, but some companies do.
Exactly. We are talking about planned obsolescence. You see it right here in the first sentence of this section. Now, the definition is when products are designed to stop working after a short time.
Right. Here's an example with that term. Some phones seem to have planned obsolescence so that people will buy new ones more quickly.
Have you ever noticed, friends, that some companies bring out new phones every year or every 2 years, just about the time the phone you bought last time stops working?
Right. This means they're trying to sell you more things. If your phone lasted for years and years, you'd never buy new ones and they wouldn't make money.
Exactly. We see here in this article that this is a shady business strategy. Now, what do we mean by shady? We mean that this is something that's dishonest or not trustworthy.
Yeah, some companies might have a shady reputation. because they've done dishonest things in the past.
Okay, let's read this entire sentence to get a better idea of what we're talking about, friends. The answer might be planned obsolescence, a shady business strategy in which products are designed to break, fail, or become obsolete earlier than necessary.
When something becomes obsolete, it becomes no longer used because something better exists most of the time.
Here's an example. DVDs are becoming obsolete because there's so many choices for streaming services these days.
That's right, we're not using those DVDs anymore. They're obsolete. Well, we read, on the one hand, this strategy can boost sales by encouraging consumers to buy replacements.
Okay, we see on the one hand. When you see this in a sentence, friends, it means that the writer is introducing one side of an argument. You know that there is another way to look at this as well, but first the writer is going to show you the first side of the argument.
Let's give an example. On the one hand, exercising is tiring, but on the other hand, it's good for health.
And friends, you've just heard the other part of this phrase. On the other hand, you can picture one option here and another option here. One hand and the other.
Exactly. These are the two different sides to the same thing. Here's another example. I like summer, but on the other hand, it can be too hot.
I totally agree. So we see here that this strategy can boost sales, but on the other hand, it often leaves customers feeling cheated and results in waste when old products are thrown away.
Right, especially with phones. There are so many specific little metal parts to them, and they're really hard to recycle. So it's very wasteful when we just keep buying new phones.
Yes, and in addition, phones are such an expensive piece of equipment. They are very costly to purchase and maintain, so the fact that these phones are being produced so much is pretty bad for the environment.
And yet we keep buying them because they're so crucial to our everyday lives. Well, friends, it's time now to go to our info cloud.
Hello everyone, welcome to InfoCloud. Hello Garrett, you won't believe what happened to me today. I saw an ad for a brand new phone at half price. So I rushed to the store, and when I got there, they said it was out of stock and tried to sell me a much more expensive model instead.
The classic bait and switch.
That's exactly what it felt like. Let's talk about what bait and switch actually means today.
It's a deceptive sales tactic. The word bait is similar to the bait from fishing. It's something attractive that makes the fish want to bite the hook. Except here, the fish is you.
Exactly. To switch something means to change it for something else. So in this case, the bait was the attractive offer. That cheap phone in the ad. But then when I got to the store, they switched my phone for something else.
Usually the switch is to something more expensive or of lower quality. These kinds of things aren't always illegal, but they are definitely misleading.
Businesses use them to lure customers in, knowing they might settle for something pricier once they're already there.
That's shady. And you don't only see bait and switches in sales. You also see them in politics, relationships, and even job offers.
They're everywhere. But at least I've learned my lesson. Next time, I'm reading the fine print and asking questions before I rush in.
Smart move. If a deal sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
我们在购买东西的时候，要注意商家是否有误导或诈骗的行为，像是 bait and switch。bait 是诱饵 ，switch 是转换。bait and switch 就是商家先打出优惠价格，吸引客人上门，然后告诉他们这项优惠已经缺货，是否要换买另外一款更贵的商品。 这种 bait and switch 的手法不一定是非法的，但确实具有误导性。商家利用这种手法吸引顾客，希望他们在已经到店的情况下会考虑购买其他的产品。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Planned obsolescence. To understand planned obsolescence, let's travel back to the 1920s and 1930s. At that time, light bulbs were becoming a common household item, and business was booming. However, for some manufacturers, there was a serious issue that would affect their sales in the long run. Their light bulbs lasted too long. Enter the Phoebus Cartel, a group of major light bulb manufacturers from around the world. These companies made a secret agreement to limit the lifespan of light bulbs to 1,000 hours, and if any company's bulbs lasted longer, they would face penalties. The Phoebus Cartel, whose agreement elevated profit over consumer needs, is a key example of planned obsolescence.
今天的 usage tip 要来看关系代名词所有格 whose 的用法。本句 Phoebus Cartel, whose agreement elevated profit over consumer needs, is a key example of planned obsolescence. 它当中的名词 one, Phoebus Cartel 是 whose 的先行词，后面接名词 two, agreement 来引导形容词子句。这种用法可以说明名词 two 为名词 one 所拥有，并为其补充资讯。要注意哦。whose 后面一定要接紧名词来建立所属关系 ，whose 是无法单独使用的。此外 ，whose 的先行词不一定都是人，也可能是事物。来看一个例句 ：The university, whose ranking has been declining, is struggling to attract new students. 这所大学的排名一直下降，正在努力吸引新生。
Thanks so much, Jack. Well, is this planned obsolescence a new thing with smartphones, or has it been around for a lot longer than that?
It's been around for a lot longer than that. We find that out in this part of our article, friends. We read, to understand planned obsolescence, let's travel back to the 1920s and 1930s. This is almost 100 years ago.
Exactly. It was happening then. At that time, light bulbs were becoming a common household item. Let's stop there and talk about household items.
Okay, a household item is something that's commonly used in a home. This is something that generally isn't too expensive, that every home that you can think of has inside of it.
Right. For most people in the US, a microwave is a useful household item that most people have.
Exactly. You could say that paper towels or tissues are another household item. This is something that everybody buys. So you can imagine if the light bulb was just invented and everybody wanted to have it in their home, business would be booming.
That's right. Let's talk about that phrase, business was booming. This means your business is very successful. Things are going very well right now.
Exactly. Here's an example of how you could use business was booming in a sentence. After the new store opened, business was booming.
Let's keep going. However, for some manufacturers, there was a serious issue that would affect their sales in the long run. Their light bulbs lasted too long. They were doing too good of a job.
So you can see how if you were in the light bulb business at this time, friends, you would want to find a way to keep people buying light bulbs and keep them buying light bulbs quite often.
That's right. So we continue. Enter the Phoebus Cartel, a group of major light bulb manufacturers from around the world.
All right, we need to talk about this word cartel, friends. This is a group of companies, but these companies are working together unfairly.
Yeah. Here's another example from another type of cartel. The drug cartel controlled the illegal trade in the area. If you hear that word cartel, most of the time we're talking about this kind of underground black market illegal group.
Exactly. And we find out what the thing this cartel was doing that was so bad is in the next sentence. These companies made a secret agreement to limit the lifespan of light bulbs to 1,000 hours.
All right, so they wanted to limit the lifespan. This word lifespan usually talks about how long we as people live, but here we're talking about how long something will last.
For example, the lifespan of a laptop is about 5 years. No matter which laptop you buy, it will probably last about 5 years.
That's right. So they limited this for light bulbs to 1,000 hours. They didn't want light bulbs to last longer than that.
This is the first bad thing that they did, but the second bad thing is terrible as well. If any company's bulbs lasted longer, they would face penalties.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not from the government. This is not a law. It's an agreement between these companies in the cartel.
That's right. The Phoebus cartel, whose agreement elevated profit over consumer needs, is a key example of planned obsolescence.
So it started back 100 years ago, and still we see it in some products today. They're not thinking first about the products that we buy and our experience, but more about selling these things.
And Garrett, light bulbs are relatively inexpensive household items. Imagine how much profitable these companies would be if they did it with something like cell phones.
Yeah, that's right. All right, friends, it is time now to go over and watch our fun fact.
Hello, fact friends. I am Detective Ernest Finder, and I have a fun fact for you today. Did you know the hourglass is a piece of mostly obsolete technology? It's true. What is an hourglass? Well, it was a way to tell the time. You could turn an hourglass upside down. Sand inside would fall to the bottom. When all the sand was gone, time was up. And that is today's fun, obsolete fact.
Well, friends, this article has certainly been interesting to me. Planned obsolescence isn't really something I've thought about that much.
Yeah, it's not something we think about, but if it is affecting our products that we're buying, well, it is making us spend more money, and it sounds like a bad thing. But let me make you think about this in a different way. Think of those light bulbs, and if they hadn't made them last a shorter amount of time, they wouldn't have sold very many light bulbs, and those companies might have gone bankrupt. They wouldn't be able to produce new and better light bulbs, and we'd just be stuck at where we were.
This is a really interesting argument because, as we know, friends, technology changes very quickly. There are so many advancements that happen from year to year, and if your devices or products last too long, maybe then your device is actually old technology at that point.
Yeah, that research and development takes money, and as companies sell things, they're able to invest in that.
Well, friends, that's all the time we have for today. My name is Anne-Marie.
And my name is Garrett. We'll see you again next time, right here on
Studio Classroom. Bye.
A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.